Well, as Peter was saying there, New York has become the epicenter of the pandemic in the US, with nearly half the cases in the country and more than 1/3 of deaths. Nirav Shah is a senior scholar with Stanford University's Clinical Excellence Research Center, as well as a former health commissioner for New York. Thanks very much for your time. Extraordinary scenes in New York, extraordinary scenes really across the US and the rest of the world. What do you make of the authorities' response there to what's happening?
Well, I'm glad that we are starting to have more of a coherent policy, that we understand that this is a marathon, that we are just beginning. And I hope that all the other states get on board and are able to do the kind of strong policies that you've seen come out of states like New York, California, and a few others.
So by strong policies, what do you mean?
Well, we haven't turned the curve or corner yet in many states. We don't have the blanket protections that we need from a public health perspective, with strict orders to shelter in place, with strict orders to only have essential businesses open. And if you look on the news anywhere, look at Florida, look at Virginia, governors have yet to declare these kinds of strict measures.
And so obviously that is what is presumed to be coming next. I want to ask you about testing. This is something that we've been talking about for a long time. How do you rate the US's performance?
We've been told on a running 2-week basis that we have enough tests. And I can tell you that as of today, I've heard that it's going to be 2 more weeks till we have sufficient testing. The policies across the state have been to limit testing to only those who demonstrate symptoms and are at high risk. That means even this past week in my clinic at Stanford, I had many patients who I diagnosed clinically with COVID, but I could not test because we're not allowed to do that yet. We're only limiting testing to those most at risk.
I see. That's interesting, and that obviously will have consequences. What do you make so far of the administration, Donald Trump's approach to this, saying, well, hopefully everything could be up and running again by Easter, and now coming out and saying, well, actually, that clearly is not going to happen?
Well, I think there's been a false choice between lives and livelihoods. Of course, we want to get back to work quickly, and yet we need to first save lives and focus first on tamping down this epidemic and getting us to a place like Wuhan and others have done, where we have it under control, and then we can start to even begin the conversation of going back to work.
And so what kind of timelines are you thinking about? I'm not going to hold you to anything, obviously. It's impossible to predict.
Well, I'm thinking we have weeks to months. If you look at the places that have been most successful, New York is now starting to reach its apex. California in the coming weeks will reach its apex. After that, if we do a good job like South Korea, like Taiwan, on doing contact tracing and really stamping out COVID in the community, then we can talk about getting back to work.
Fascinating stuff. Nirav Shah, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.